I want to welcome those of you who are considering enrolling in the Last Symptom Fundamentals pre-recorded course. This little introduction here is meant to give you an idea of what it is you can expect if you do decide to take the course. Things that you'll want to have in mind while you're taking the course. The objective of the course. How taking this course is different than, say, just listening to the Last Symptom podcast every week. Why it's superior to taking something like, say, DBT. And why am I only offering 7 months access instead of permanent access to the course if you enroll? Well, I'm going to answer all these questions for you, but before we get started, if you don't already know, I'm Brian Barnett. I developed this course. I developed the Last Symptom, and I'm the instructor throughout this particular course. Within the course itself, you're going to get a rather comprehensive introduction and insights into my personal story and my background. So I don't want to go into a lot of detail about it here right now, but I will give you the shortened version. I myself had borderline personality disorder for at least the first 35 years of my life, completely unaware that I had it. I truly had no suspicion whatsoever back before I come to realize that I had borderline personality disorder. I had no suspicion that my perceptions and my thinking were off until a major life crisis in my life pretty much obligated me to stop ignoring the pattern of deep discontent and dysfunction. That was kind of like a merry-go-round. It always come back around to that. During this major life crisis, I ended up losing my wife, lost a mistress, lost a baby, lost the great majority of my friends, and pretty much anything I really cared about in life at that time I lost. So it was in part the combination of all of this intense pain from all these losses that really contributed to me eventually coming to my senses and to begin in a genuine way to investigate things that I would never have probably been open to investigating otherwise. So over the course of roughly 7 years, give or take, I first did the work to identify that I had an emotional disorder, all that actually means, not what the books say it means, but what it actually means, and then to identify and eliminate the root causes of the disorder. I was successful at this. I once had borderline personality disorder as interwoven into my life as anybody ever has, and now I really don't have it. Probably just like you. I remember believing that my issues were issues that were such an ingrained part of me that they were unfixable. In fact, my perception at the time is that I was the problem. So if I were the problem, then the problem was unfixable, wasn't it? So it was my perspective that it was unfixable. This was never anything that I was going to be completely free from. And yet here I am, now on the other side of that, years on the other side of that, and authentically free of any emotional disorder. So think about all the insights that I had to work hard to experience in order for me to get from there to here. Think about all the baloney information, the horse poo-pooey information, trying to clean up my language, that I had to sift through and discredit along the way, and all the distractions and misdirection that saturate the topic. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that just like many of you, I had to go into the process exploring what other people were saying on the topic. And along that and through that process, I had to recognize what information was absolute baloney, and then discredit that, push that aside, and give the information that was not baloney my attention. That's the only way I got from there to here. Discrediting information, which much of it is the most popular information on the subject. It's the things that the professional community and suffering people focus the most on. But doesn't that explain why more people aren't in my position here, having authentically rid themselves of the disorder? And I say this on the Last Symptom podcast all the time. The reason is that they focus almost exclusively and give too much attention to things that absolutely don't matter, that are irrelevant. And they overlook and poo-poo the information, the subtle information, that is the most important. That's why more people have not achieved what I've achieved. And this Last Symptom Fundamentals Course is meant to help you gain the same insights that I gained on those topics, so that you cannot get distracted, so that you won't get distracted by this stuff that's just pointless misdirection, and so that you can focus exclusively then on the stuff that does matter. The nature of the course is this. You're going to see me sitting in precisely the same spot, and I present information to you on screen by means of a PowerPoint type presentation. So you'll see me talking, and then interspersed with me talking, you will see a PowerPoint presentation on the screen. It's laid back, it's friendly, I tell stories, I give examples, I share a lot of myself. At the same time, the course follows a very nice and natural progression and structure. I've divided the course up into days and chapters, with approximately 3 one-hour-long chapters each day. That's how I've divided it up, because it's pre-recorded. Of course, you can take it at whatever pace you want to take it at. You know, the idea is that whatever's most comfortable for you. The nature of the course makes it very simple for you to pause or step away or stop and come right back to where you left off. A few things I'd like to encourage you to do is take notes. Yes, please take notes. Screenshots are your prerogative. You can take screenshots if you want to, but my opinion is that note-taking is far superior than taking screenshots. When you take notes, your brain is dwelling on what you're penciling out or writing out. Another thing is that maybe I've presented some sort of illustration or something like that, or given an example, and another example has popped into your mind that's even more effective to your personal circumstances. If you're note-taking, you can throw that in there. If you're taking a screenshot, not so much. So note-taking really reinforces the points that I'm presenting in the course, and screenshots don't necessarily do that. Another thing about taking screenshots, I don't know about you, I take screenshots all the livelong day when I'm browsing the internet or coming across information on the internet or whatever. And I take the screenshot thinking, boy, that's something I want to go back to, or that's something I want to reflect on later on. And do you know what happens? Well, if you're anything like me, you do know what happens. It just clutters up my phone. I never do go back to it. And in fact, I end up just deleting, once my phone gets so full of screenshots and pictures and stuff of just irrelevant stuff, eventually those things just end up getting deleted without me ever having gone back to them. But again, it's up to you. I want you to take the course in a way that is most beneficial for you personally. Number 2, pause the course frequently when information is presented that gives you a cause for stopping and ruminating. We talk about ruminating a lot in the course. Taking a thought, playing it over in your mind, exploring it, pondering, I reckon, is another good term there. Number 3, once enrolled, In the Last Symptom Fundamentals Course, what I'd like to encourage you to do is to download the locals.com app from the App Store. That's spelled LOCALS.com. Locals.com. And I'd like you to join our online community. There's two ways you can do it. You can simply open up any browser on your computer, on your smartphone, on your tablet, and you go to thelastsymptom.locals.com. thelastsymptom.locals.com. And then the other option is to download the locals.com app from the App Store, and then you just search for The Last Symptom by Brian Barnett. This online community and its members are going to form a tremendous resource for you while you're going through the Last Symptom Fundamentals course. And so it's going to be really nice to be among other people. The community is made up greatly of people who have already been through this course. So it's a shared experience that they have with you if you decide to enroll in this course. And so it's going to be really nice to be in the company of those people who you're going to have that shared experience with, to be able to talk about the experience, to be able to talk about your individual, personal circumstances and how you've come up against obstructions and how your fellow Last Symptom alumni have overcome those obstructions. If you have questions, as you're taking the course, you're going to be able to interact with me there on Locals. So it's a really nice resource, and hopefully it's a resource, the support, the feedback, the ongoing information of that community will hopefully be a resource and a support that you'll continue to benefit from for years to come, even after you've completed the course. My next recommendation is this: don't exceed the 3 allotted chapters each day. Again, this is entirely up to you. This is just a recommendation. It's just my recommendation that you don't exceed the 3 chapters per day. I realize we live in a Netflix world, and people really, myself included, like to binge watch programs and that sort of thing. But you want this information to really sink in. A lot of the points that I'm making throughout this course are not easy points to grasp when you've lived an entire life with your thinking and perceptions in a completely different universe, in a completely different reality. So there's a lot of points through the course where I'm trying to kind of explain the color blue to a blind person. That takes rumination, meditation, fixed attention. You don't want to be in a hurry. You want to let the things marinate and see if you can grasp these very subtle, sometimes, points. Of course, you have access to the course for 7 months, so there's going to be time to go back, review things, and reabsorb many things over and over again. But I hope that you see the value in taking time to consume the course in manageable portions. Sort of like if I ask you to remember 5 important things, you might be able to do that. But if I deluge you with 50 important things, how many of those will you remember? How many of those will stick? Maybe 6, maybe a dozen, I don't know, but not 50. You see that there is a lot of information in this course, a lot of insights. So if you're doing 6 hours of the course a day, you're going to burn out, and you're not going to retain as much as you would if you would stick to smaller portions at a time. You want to consume portions of the course and then allow yourself time to ruminate over it. It can be while washing the dishes. You do a couple chapters of the course and you take a walk. You do laundry. You take a shower. Any of these things, will allow you to ruminate over the small portions that you've just consumed. So taking your time and really digesting some of these things is going to be beneficial for you in the long run. What is the objective of the course? Is it to completely cure you by the end? I wish I could say that was the objective, but it's not. The objective is to provide you with a solid foundation of profound, accurate insights upon which you can continue to layer your own insights and authentic recovery afterwards. So much information out there misdirects. It misdirects you. Oftentimes, it misdirects in a well-intentioned way, but regardless, misdirection is misdirection. It can cause you to it can cause you to waste a lot of your effort and time. And the risk there is always disillusionment. Let's say you say, I've been working on this for years, not getting anywhere. And finally you're going to burn out and you're going to become disillusioned, meaning that when you think about trying in the future, you'll say, what's the point? I just expend so much energy and time and get nowhere, so why even try? Disillusionment can be a killer. The course is designed to help you avoid misdirection. Very popular misdirection. Concepts that are pointless, that they're not going to help you. They're not going to help you get here where I am. And remember, I'm somebody who was once there and who got here. So I do know what I'm talking about when I say, when we talk about the things that are just misdirection. Some of them are flashy, some of them are very popular, some of them you hear repeated millions of times out there as if it's just gospel. And I'm telling you that a majority of those things will not get you where you're hoping to get. I want to help you avoid that misdirection. This course is meant to help you get pointed in the right direction. You see, when you're starting off on something like this, if you're just slightly misdirected, what happens in a few years? Let's talk about it like this. If I shine a laser at the wall over there, do you know what I see? I see a pinpoint. It's the same size as the light coming out of the end of the laser pointer, right? But what if I point a laser pointer at the moon? You know what happens by the time the laser hits the moon? It's miles wide, that laser. Isn't that interesting? It deviates. I mean, it spreads as it's going out. You don't notice it in the short term, but at a longer distance, it becomes quite obvious. Now think of that like recovery. If you get started off just slightly misdirected, you may not notice it for a year. But what's going to happen in 5 years? In 5 years, you're going to be way off mark. And then what do you risk? Disillusionment. You may say, forget it. I've already put 5 years into this. Forget it. So the Last Symptom Fundamentals course really is meant to put down a foundation so that you get pointed in the right direction straight out of the gate. That way you're pointed in the right direction. You're moving in the right direction. In a couple years, I don't want you looking back and saying, oh my gosh, I just wasted all this time. No, I want you to have been building on a proper foundation for all that time. Speaking of that misdirection, that happened to me. I was misdirected by the so-called experts, quote unquote, for 2 years before I started catching on to the fact that I was being misdirected. So think about all of the progress I could have made in those 2 years if I had been pointed in the right direction from the beginning. Then instead of looking back and going, man, 2 lost years, instead of that, I would have looked back and said, look how far I've come. Look how far I've come. So this course is meant to help you do that. In a couple years, look back and say, look how far I've come. A lot of students have taken this course, and I'll tell you what, the vast majority of them all say that to me. Can't believe how far I've come. How is this course different from simply listening to the Last Symptom free weekly podcast? Well, this course offers a structure and a comprehensiveness that just far exceeds what I'm able to do in 1-hour formats on the weekly show. Most people have been asking me for years now to offer a book about authentic recovery from borderline personality disorder or emotional disorders, and I'm working on it, but I still have a hard time believing that any book could offer a superior experience to this course that you're considering taking. I truly do believe that the way it's laid out and designed can help you change your life in great and small ways. Why is this course a far superior replacement to DBT? Because DBT focuses on symptoms. That's just the truth of it. DBT focuses on symptoms and on just getting you through difficult moments. The very initials, DBT, do you know what that stands for? It stands for dialectical behavioral therapy. What kind of therapy? Oh, that's right. Therapy for your behaviors. Are your behaviors the root problem of anything? No. Your behaviors are a symptom of the problem. So do you see, DBT is not going to ever cure your borderline personality disorder. Nobody is ever going to come through DBT with the answers that they need to authentically rid themselves of an emotional disorder permanently and authentically. The Last Symptom Fundamentals Course is not about learning to live with an emotional disorder like borderline personality disorder. The focus of this course, the Last Symptom Fundamentals Course, is authentic and permanent recovery. It focuses on the fundamental causes at the very root of the disorder, of any emotional disorder, I should say. Originally, this course was built specifically for borderline personality disorder, but anybody with an emotional disorder should be taking this course because the underlying problems are the same. It doesn't matter what emotional disorder specifically that you have. The root causes are the same. In other words, the causes at the root of every emotional disorder are the exact same causes, I should say. Therefore, the solutions are the same. So this course is not only for people with borderline personality disorder. This course is for anybody with an emotional disorder. This Last Symptom Fundamentals course focuses on the very root of emotional disorders, explains how and why those root problems got there and are there, and what you can do to eliminate those causes authentically and permanently so that, guess what? You don't have to be walking around with a bag full of superficial tricks for coping with difficult scenarios that your emotional disorder is going to forever continue to cause. Do you see that if you identify and address the underlying causes of your disorder, and you eliminate those causes, you're not looking at a life of managing symptoms. Why not? Because there won't be any symptoms. That's why. On the Last Symptom podcast, I've mentioned several times about a guy going to a doctor or surgeon saying, boy, I'm having these terrible headaches. And the doctor says, well, let's take a look-see, and does an examination, says, oh yeah, you got a brain tumor. Got a brain tumor causing all those headaches. Here, I'm going to fix the problem. Just take these aspirin. Do the aspirin fix the problem? No, they just mask the symptoms, don't they? We don't want that. The Last Symptom Fundamentals course is designed to not do that. The Last Symptom Fundamentals course is like the surgeon saying, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a surgery, I'm going to take that tumor out of there, and when you leave here, there won't be any need for you to continue taking aspirin for the rest of your life, because the problem, the thing that was causing the headaches, will no longer be there. Therefore, you won't continue having headaches. So this is the objective of the Last Symptom Fundamentals course that you're considering enrolling in. Last but not least, why do I only offer 7 months of ongoing access when you sign up for the course? Well, first of all, 7 months is not a slice of time. It's not a tiny little amount of time. It's a lot of time for you to take advantage of the course and to be able to take it several times. But primarily, I want you to have a limited amount of time to access the course because I want you to value it and I want you to take it seriously. As people, we just naturally more greatly value what is limited. So I want you to set aside a specific schedule to take the course with intent. That is, I want you to set aside regular time and give the course your full attention, the full attention it deserves, in order for you to get the most out of it. You see, if you just purchased the course once and then you had unlimited amount of time to access it, it would be human nature to let other things take priority because you'd think, well, it's always going to be there. I do this with Apple Music. Got a 1-year subscription to Apple Music. Haven't even opened it in 2 weeks now. Why? Because it's always there. When I get into the mood, it'll be there. And that is not the approach I want to support you having if you enroll in the course. When you enroll, you know the time is limited. You will take it more seriously. So by setting a limit on the amount of time you can access the course, it encourages you to more greatly value the time you do have with it. 7 months both encourages you to take the course seriously and set aside time for it, while at the same time giving you plenty of time to access that information again and again. So I hope that answers most of the important questions for anybody who's seriously thinking about taking this Last Symptom Fundamentals course. If you do decide to spend your hard-earned money on the course, let me thank you. Your enrollment in this course not only has the potential to help you make tremendous lasting changes in your own life, but financially it supports my work here with the Last Symptom overall and allows me to continue improving and expanding on the resources I'm able to provide. I'm still just a one-man show for all this, so every little bit helps.